We'd gone into the Everton game on the back of losing the semi-final to Leicester, and that the feeling that we had in the dressing room after that Leicester semi-final game, we could hear them all next door banging on the walls and banging on the door as they went past, and you could hear the crowd, obviously, because we're at Filbert Street. And they were all celebrating, and we were sat there. We'd blown it, basically. And we took that feeling with us for a number of weeks, and certainly into the Everton game. The first goal, we worked it out about 5-4. Literally, just as we were going out the door, we scribbled something down, and I pulled in a couple of players, and it came from a short corner. And Stoney scores with a header. Never heard of before, but it worked very well. And to think that, you know, we spent two minutes on it just as we were literally going out the door, and we scored a goal from it.
Barry, but Moore's taken it from him. Can he equalise here? It's in. It's in. Leeds 1-1. Everton might just be caught a bit light at the back here. Paul Merson takes Everton on. It's still Merson. And it's a goal for Carboni! Right on half-time, the counter-attack, and Everton had no answer.
I think Gillingham done very well for 20 minutes, and then once we got the goal, it was all over after that. We just got a few more goals, and we done extremely well that day.
We knew that Gillingham was a good team, but never as good as us. But they had beaten Sheffield Wednesday in the previous round, so we were solid, and we won 5-0, which is what you expect from Chelsea when we played Gillingham. But they did well, and it was a fair match for about 30 minutes, and when we got the upper hand, the match was over.
And Morris hits the bar, but at the second attempt gets it in. The familiar presence of Chelsea will be in the semi-finals of the FA Cup.
Against, of course, Aston Villa, which means that at Wembley today, two guys you wouldn't want to mix it with. They've had plenty of fights. To date, no defeats. Claire Tomlinson reports.
Doug Ellis is a self-confessed workaholic who's dedicated 50 years of his life to Aston Villa. Ken Bates is equally committed to the Chelsea cause, and neither man is shy on retiring.
I think there are very few chairmen that look for high profile. I certainly didn't and don't.
I've not sacked 11 managers, I've sacked 7.
7?
7. The other
Still
4
quite
left
quite
me.
a
Well,
number.
yes, but in 28 years at actual, it's 7 into 28. If you're average, it's 4.
I'm controversial. What have I said that's controversial? Tell the truth.
I hate sacking anyone. I don't sleep the night before. It's murder for me to actually do it, but I know I'm doing it on behalf of the club. And the clubs are more important than any individual, including me.
The last Premier League annual conference at Stapleton Park, Doug had just issued his autobiography, Deadly, and he was they were very much in evidence, shall we say. So at the busy lunch the last day, he was walking out and said, "Doug, I've got a very rare copy of your biography." "Oh," he said, "how can? That's nice. What is it?" I said, "It's one not been signed by you."
If you drove around Birmingham with me, and admittedly I have a well-known car with an AV1 registration, but if you hear the kids shouting Deadly, they don't shout Dougie anymore. It's Deadly this and Deadly the other, and it's stuck. But I didn't propose the name of my book as Deadly. This was the publisher.
Right.
He begged of me to use it, and I was very reluctant to do it, but no doubt it has caused a stir.
Their clubs may be at each other's throats at Wembley today, but the chairmen remain close friends. They're in agreement on the way the game should be run, and there is clearly a mutual respect.
Be straight. I think his first concern is obviously Aston Villa, coupled with the good of the game. And in fact, it was my suggestion that he was appointed to the recent FIFA committee on TV and media, and I think he'll do a good elder statesman job of representing the English interests on that committee. And it's just a pity that with the reconstruction of the FA, because of his age, he isn't on the main board of the FA, and that's the only reason he's not.
Do you wish you were 10 years younger?
I wish I was 20 years younger. If I had the knowledge that I've got now, it's the thing you cannot buy. It's called experience.
He's put up with a lot. He's misinterpreted, I must say, in some quarters. What's great for me as having him as the chairman is that if I've got a problem, I can drive around the corner to his house and see him. I can walk down the corridor at Villa Park from my office to his office and sit down and sort things out. We're pretty upfront with each other.
He's a good lad, and he's proved himself. Last year, towards the end of last season, we had a bad run, and that resulted in us being 10% down in our season tickets, or one of the reasons for this season. And then, unfortunately, it carried on, that bad run, up until Christmas, and colleagues of yours in the media and the press were, plus at least 100 letters from supporters to sack him because we weren't doing very well, but I put my arm around him instead because I did think that here we had a man that could probably be my manager for the rest of my life. He was young enough, so I've just given him a new 3-year contract.
I would love at 6 o'clock at night just to go and plonk that trophy on his desk or in his hotel room and just say, there you go, mate, that's for you, because he does work very hard for the club, I'll give him his due.
So he's only sacked 7 managers. Maybe he is misinterpreted. Maybe he should be not that deadly, perhaps.
No, he's all right, the chairman. I mean, he likes to pop his head around the dressing room door on match days, and I can remember Big Ron used to point him in the other direction and gently push him towards the corridors. But he's okay. I mean, like what was said there, his interests are for Aston Villa. And,
what's Chairman Ken like? It just always makes me chuckle when Dennis Wise talks about him and calls him Batesy. Yeah. Is he the only one that has that sort of relationship with him?
No, there's a few players. I think certainly Dennis, myself, go back quite a long way with the chairman. And he's a character. He's a real character. He likes people that are confident around him within certain limits. I think if you overstep the mark, then he'll come down on you like a ton of bricks. But he does like characters, and all my experiences with him have been very good and favourable.
You've not worked for either, have you? Would you like to have done?
Without a doubt. I think I know both of them quite well because I've spent time in their company and met them in different places around the world. And I would say the thing that strikes you most when you meet both of them, they're just mad for the football clubs. And yeah, they've been criticised for being forthright, maybe telling things that other people were not willing to talk about. But they are, without a doubt, 2 characters in the game, and they're real passion.
Yeah.
For Ken it's Chelsea, and for Doug it's Villa. And over the years they've been criticised and pillared for different things they've done, but they've only done it because they felt it was the right thing for their football clubs. And when they're no longer in the game, they'll be missed. People talk about characters in the game. They are 2 of the biggest. And a transfer between them 2, a transfer between Chelsea and Aston Villa must be interesting.
Hey, I've been there, Graham.
It must be interesting, of course, that's right. Protracted, I would have thought was the word, was it? So they are back at Wembley, Villa and Chelsea, not without a few nail-biting moments at the semi-final stage, mind, particularly for Villa.
People can say what they like about the actual game itself. It's all about winning. I mean, you can go. We could have played fantastically well and entertained everybody in a fantastic 4-3 defeat. Who cares? It means nothing. We just had to win.
It will be the lottery of a penalty shootout to decide the first FA Cup finalists of the season.
I knew David would play a big part in it.
James has saved it. First blood to the Villa goalkeeper. And saves again. And Dublin has done it. And Aston Villa are in the FA Cup final for the first time in 43 years.
I thought it might be scripted for the captain. I thought maybe Gareth might actually go up and stroke in the winner. And I think that it did cross my mind for one brief second when we just had to score to win it, about saying, well, go on Gareth, you go up. Just to erase that memory for him, because he's had it rammed down his throat for 4 years, and it would have been nice for him to exercise the ghost. Who knows, he still might have to do that this afternoon. So maybe it's not all over yet with the Gareth Southgate penalty saga. Who knows?
The semi-finals are the difficult games than the final, because this is the way to the final, and nobody wants to lose.
I remember being fouled and the ball was actually rolling, as Andy Gray would say, and I played it quickly. He played a 1-2. He played it to Chris. Chris played a 1-2 with George, and George played him in. It was a great finish there, and it was a great start to the game for us, basically.
That's a brilliant ball and a brilliant
finish.
I know that Newcastle played better than us for long spells during the game.
Robert Lee!
But we had Gus on that day, and he was basically on fire when it came to scoring the goals. He produced for us and done extremely well.
It's Gus Poyet for a second time at Wembley. Chelsea will come back here on May the 20th.
As we speak, they are on the way back here, Chelsea and Aston Villa, for the FA Cup final. They should be here when we come back.
You are about to enter the weird and wonderful world.
You didn't do that.
Of street magicians.
How did you do that? How did you do that? Unbelievable.
Acts of true magic.
Wow. Oh, wow. Oh, no.
Or just plain trickery. Sky One has hit the streets and is ready to spill the beans. The secrets of street magicians finally revealed. Sunday at 8 on Sky One.
Everyone on the floor!
Stop! What are you doing? This bank is not ready yet. There's no money. There's no safe. There isn't even a roof.
Hey!
They are moving, the boys in the tunnel, well, more sharply than they will be when they get out on the pitch, because behind them we have arrivals. And if I remember correctly, that's Aston Villa who are travelling with that particular coach company, isn't it? They left second, so first blood to Villa. They arrive at Wembley before Chelsea. For the first time in 43 years. Only one of their 7 finals has been at Wembley. That was the one. They beat Manchester United by 2-1. It's been a long wait for their fans in the West Midlands. Chelsea more familiar with this territory in recent years, with cup success in recent years as well. Been there, done it. As a few have got the big one, of course. Well, they fancy this afternoon, because for the most part this year, they have fallen short, Chelsea. How determined are they to put that to rights? How hungry are Villa here? Graham Souness, Andy Townsend and Graham Lasso with us this afternoon. And if he says I'm coming through there, move is my advice.
I thought Dion had put on a bit of weight there for you. I had a bit of a panic.
It is a fairy story for Dion Dublin, of course, isn't it?
It certainly is.
Fractured neck, by his own admission, could have been in a wheelchair. But
well, there's certain things happen to us, as Andy said.
Yeah.
You know, you go back to the car worker.
Yeah.
You know, the problems with the car industry in the Midlands.
Yeah.
And Villa's problems early part. The whole thing for me is geared up for Villa to win the thing.
We've had a few as well, though. Me being injured, one of them.
That's a fair point.
No.
That's a fair point.
I think, honestly, Aston Villa have had a more difficult journey to the final as well. So I think that's probably why people are looking.
Well,
at
the game against Leeds.
Sorry to interrupt, Graham. Just a quick look at Villa's suit here. Who wins on the fashion front?
Oh, we've got to.
Do you think so?
Definitely.
I think the Villa lads were a bit disappointed. They didn't get to choose their suits, you see.
Ah.
It was that one.
Deadly
I think Deadly, exactly.
Deadly got a deal.
Deadly had done a deal with a shop up the road, and but they're not too bad. I'm waiting to see Hugo if he's not, because he was the one who was complaining to me last week most about the suits. So I want to see what he's got on.
Is that a club tie as well?
We'll never forget Liverpool suits, will we?
No, we won't ever forget those suits. They're the benchmark, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Spot the Italian here.
Yes. It's nice.
We're talking knots, are we?
We're talking Benito Carbone, yeah. Well,
Yes.
Big knots.
An expert on that.
I had a feeling we were. It's a little bit smaller today than it normally is. There's the Italian. So it's the FA Cup final. Villa and Chelsea here. Down the road, of course, at the conference centre, Claire Tomlinson's been introducing us to 1 or 2 cup winners already today, and I think she's in the company here of a real Chelsea favourite. Claire.
Yep, definitely with a Chelsea legend now, Richard. It's Ron Chopper Harris. Ron, 1970 was the year you lifted that trophy. Was that one of the highlights of your career?
Yes, it's a fantastic achievement for me to have lifted the FA Cup in the 1970-71. The only little bit of a disappointment was that we had to go to Old Trafford for the replay, and I think it took a little bit of the gloss from having to walk up the steps at Wembley.
What do you remember of that day at Wembley? 2-2 draw.
Well, I remember I was struggling all the week to play. I had a cortisone injection. The pitch was a total disgrace because they had the Horse of the Year show there, and it was like Southend Beach, and it was hard work. I come off just before the final whistle, managed to get fit for the replay, and went on from there.
Obviously, you'll be supporting Chelsea in today's final. How important is it for Chelsea to win today and to qualify for Europe next season?
Well, Chelsea, is geared. It's one of the big clubs. I think it's very, very important for them today to win, because if they don't, then they won't really be involved in Europe next season, only in this Intertoto Cup, which I feel is a Mickey Mouse competition.
It's not a good pre-season tournament, you think?
I don't think so, no.
Right. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for joining us. It's back to you in the studio now, Richard.
Did you ever cross swords with Mr. Harris?
No,
Graham?
how old do you think
Well,
I
I'm just
am?
wondering, he did play on for a long time, Ron, didn't he?
Yeah, he
Would you
did,
like
but-
to have done?
Yeah, I mean, I think competitive players like to play against other competitive players, and he was certainly competitive, wasn't he?
That was always a pre-match. That was always something for you to identify, was it?
Yeah, I think if you are, and in midfield you're directly against someone who played the same position. A winger plays against the right backs, but in midfield you're playing against someone who played the exact same position as you, and that was always the challenge. You've got to dominate him, and sometimes it was by intimidation, sometimes with ability. But if you could get both.
Then you had a player.
Yes, yeah.
Then you had a player. A first look at that turf. Andy's been down there and told us it is as beautiful as it looks. Let's get a quick word with Mark Delaney. George Gavin's down there too.
Mark, what are your impressions of the day? I think 2.5 years ago you were playing part-time football in Wales, weren't you?
Yeah, it's a little bit different, like you say. It's starting here already, so it should get a lot louder than this.
How have final preparations gone for Villa?
Very good, yeah. We've had a good week, and we're thoroughly prepared for today's game.
Has it helped you playing a semi-final here already?
Personally, yes. It was nice to get that out of the way and taste all the atmosphere, and I was delighted to come back.
Been a great season for you so far. Could be a great week playing against Brazil as well for Wales, couldn't it, after this?
That's right, yeah. It's going to be a great week. It's two great stadiums and two great teams to be playing against.
Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
David James, from Spice Boy to Nice Boy. He's everybody's favourite right now, isn't he? He's rebuilt a career, Graham, that actually you started for him in many respects.
He has the potential to be the very best, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, you talk about athleticism, and he's up there with anybody you want to name. I have never seen a physique on a footballer like he's got. I mean, he is, and he doesn't even work at it. Comes in the gym, and once a year. When I'm talking about when I worked with him at Liverpool, he'd come in the gym once or twice a season. He's got a physique that bodybuilders would kill for.
So where did it all go wrong? Because Liverpool virtually gave him away, didn't they? Couldn't wait to give him away.
I'm biased. I bought him. I think he is a top goalkeeper. I think you have to look at, Liverpool at that time had maybe not the strongest defenders in front of him, and I think some of the responsibility and some of the blame would have to go there. He took a great deal of criticism. I think as he's got older, like we all do, you start to think a bit more about your game. I think he knows what he has to do to become the very best. And he doesn't. You're talking 5%. If he can get the 5% that's missing in his game, and I'm talking about concentration, he will be the best.
If you were Kevin Keegan, would you take him to the Euro 2005?
I would say right now he's the best one around.
I think people lost faith in him very quickly because he made a.
But Graham, the media jumped on him.
Exactly, and
the media.
But Graham, to be fair, he gave the media the opportunity to jump on him, didn't he?
Yeah, and I think he's learnt that. I think you look at him interviewed now. I think you see his interviews now. He's learnt that. I think he deals with the media far better now than he did when he was a young man. Maybe we've all learnt that. Maybe we can all. Yeah. Talk about how
you were saying about intimidation earlier. You better believe that Bolton were intimidated by his presence in those penalties. Massive.
When you look at goalkeepers, you see them in goal, you want them to fill the goal. Nobody does that like him. There's nobody. He is one big man.
He's not going to fill a goal on the right there, judging, but he's scored a few, hasn't he? Important goals for Villa.
Julian has, yeah. He tends to flitting out a little bit too much at the moment for me to become a regular week in, week out player for the Villa. And to be their main man up front, he's still got to find a bit more in his game. But he is a threat, certainly. If he was going to come on for 15 or 20 minutes today, we don't know the teams yet, but if he was going to, he would always pose a threat because he's so quick.
He knows the place well. George Boateng just wandering through the picture. That's an important area, Graham, that you were talking about. That central midfield, isn't it?
Yeah,
If you win in there, do you win the game?
Generally you do, because it means you're creating more chances and it means you're protecting your defenders better if you've got... See, we can talk about...
Sorry to interrupt. Let's hear from George Boateng with George Gavin again.
George, what does the FA Cup final mean to you?
Oh, a lot. Not only to me, but I think to our fans and the club. It's a big day for everybody. We hope we can get the result right at the end. But I think everybody should just enjoy the whole day being here.
Is the midfield battle, you against Dennis Wise, one of the key areas of the game?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but I think the one who can win the midfield will win the game. But overall, I think Chelsea have got players that they can, in just a second, they can decide a game. But we've got them players as well. We've got Benito, Dion, which is a very powerful striker. So it will be an interesting match.
Thanks, George. Good luck.
Okay, thank you.
Never trust a player, can you? So that's Benito and Dion up front then.
I think the balance really is what we're talking about the midfield balance. I think the way the sides line up, the balance is going to be won or lost in there.
Boateng is up. You might not thank me for saying it, but it's a very good dog.
Yeah.
And you can't have a team of
Today,
Oops, sorry, George was joining us. He's not. We'll hear from George again in a moment. Sorry, Graham, I keep doing that.
You can't have a team of Boateng, but at the same breath, you can't have a team of silky
Zidane as well.
You can't. You must have a nice blend. And sure. I would say that Boateng is an important part of what Villa have achieved.
Why did he take so long to settle there?
Because he was playing wide. John had him playing sort of wide of four in midfield because he switched formations earlier on in the season as well. And George was never suited, I don't think, out there. I mean, at Coventry he used to play a bit there,
I was going to say, talk to Gordon Strachan about him. He'd tell you that's where he got most of his goals from.
Yeah,
he loves to tackle. He's a player who loves to tackle.
He's such a good... Since he's gone into the middle of the park, he has done very, very well for Villa. He's looked very strong. I mean, I've seen him playing against the very best, the Vieiras and the Keanes and people like that. And he can hold his own in the tackle and in the running requirement in the game. He's very, very strong like that.
There's the Italian.
There's the tie. The Italian's not the Italian. He'll have to be careful today if he's diving about the place today because, you know, we know there's people in Chelsea's team who are quite cute. And if you go throwing yourself into tackles when you're not the favourite, you might end up getting
if you tackle his feet, George Boateng, you're right. It's when you knock his head like Gazza did. You end up breaking your arm.
Let's hear from Paul Merson with George.
Paul, the waiting's nearly over. Are you glad the match is almost on us?
Yeah, I could kick off now, really. You want to get, as soon as you get here, you want to kick off. But obviously, savour the build-up now and then 3 o'clock, game on.
You, of course, have experienced the cup final before with Arsenal. Is that something that your teammates have been asking you all about?
No, not really. I've given them some of my experiences. I was really messed up last time, and it did pass me by very quickly. But I'm very grateful to be back today, and you know, I've got another chance to prove myself.
And what's the feeling within the team as you get ready for this one?
The lads are very confident. They're very confident. We're the underdogs, and that's the way it is. You know, if every favourite ever won, I'd never be in Gamblers Anonymous. So, you know, favourites are there to be beaten.
Got a good instinct about this afternoon?
Yeah, I feel very good. I feel confident, and all the lads do. So, you know, if we play well, we've got every chance.
Have a big game. Thank you, Paul.
Benny, how much are you looking forward to the FA Cup final at Wembley, the last one here?
Yeah, the last one, the first one for me is, I think, that is the best day in my life, my football life. So I hope so we win the game today.
What colour are your boots today?
I've got the lucky boots, the same Leeds boots against Leeds.
They're the golden ones, were they?
No more. No more.
Benny, thanks.
You are.
And I've got a feeling if they'd let him, he would play in those shades as well.
Probably. He's brought a different dimension to their team, I think, since he's arrived. I think his qualities are fantastic. You see by the goals that he scored. Wonderful player.
Great cup player for him. I mean, again, in the league, as regards the league, you know, again, whether he's going to score enough goals, I'm not sure. But certainly in the cup, as you see against Leeds, you know, almost single-handedly wins that game.
So can you pay him 25 grand a week or whatever it is he wants, that being the case?
I don't know. I mean, he's got a great opportunity here today to cement any deal that he's looking for, because if he can win the cup for Villa today, haven't won it for years and years, then it'd be very difficult to let him go.
He's not dissimilar to Zola, is he?
No.
Is he?
No.
Only scores goals.
Yeah.
You know, Zola. That would be I'm being. That's a fact, isn't it? I'm not being. I don't want to.
He has scored goals.
But Zola's not. You know,
he's not scored the goals.
He's been consistent. He's not been consistent.
No.
Where have they gone then?
Where have they gone?
We'll come back to talk about him later.
I'm not sure really. I think the way he's playing, he hasn't played as regularly. For one, there's a lot more competition up there, and I just think he's struggled to get in the areas that he thrives on, and he's just not had maybe the opportunities, and then that begins to sort of affect.
Just to go back to the point Andy made about Carboni being a cup player, are there certain types that are?
They're always going to be big stage players, aren't they? Players with the flair and the ability, but they can win any particular game, and that's why we've got a great cup final ahead of us, because you know there's any number of individuals out there that could potentially win a game for the team.
You were speaking about him, Graham, at length, and said the best right now. Let's have a word with him. David James, the goalkeeper, with George Gavin.
David, what does this day mean for you?
Personally, an opportunity to play in the best domestic cup tournament in the world, in front of I don't know how many million people, and to achieve something with Aston Villa.
Been a great week already, hasn't it, for you, with the recall to the England squad? How much of a boost for you was that?
Tremendous. Again, that's something I wanted to do from the beginning of the season. The timing wasn't necessarily the most important thing about it, but obviously just to get involved, and the call up from Mr. Keegan's been very good news, and given me a lot of inspiration and confidence. So.
Great semi-final here for you. Have you practiced the penalty saves again?
No, we don't need that this time.
All the best, David.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Well, you might, of course, because it could go all the way. Extra time if required, penalties if required. No FA Cup final has ever been settled like that. This, the last at Wembley, could be the first. And Chelsea, without the pace that they showed in getting into the bus earlier, Graham, are second to arrive at Wembley.
Was further away.
They are on the way. Isn't it lovely when you can arrive at Wembley like that? That's one thing they've got to sort out when they build the new stadium, getting to and from here. But if you've got a police escort, well, it's easy, isn't it? Although I'm not sure they had in mind a horse escort. That could hold things up a little bit, couldn't it?
You know, you talk about things.
Kit arrived earlier.
You turned up for. I can remember you turned up for a cup final, and you're looking for a horse to do the business in front of the bus as a sign of good luck.
Please drive over it.
The most famous horse, of course, is the White Horse, Billy, 1923, the first Wembley Cup final. And we finish here today, the 72nd. Steady. Trained not to do that, aren't they?
And that's the thing for the Chelsea boys, Graham, now this week.
First frisky opponent.
They'll be desperate to get in the dressing room after all that's been going on and all that's been being said this week.
Yeah, that's right. There has been a fair amount of media speculation with a few players, and now's the time that can all be put to one side. People can prove what they're capable of.
Talking about that, has it got under their skin a little bit, the criticism they've had for being, I mean, we've talked about it, tippy-tappy Chelsea, that they haven't been able to mix it in a traditional British way when required?
Well, that's been a tag we've had for a few years now, I think.
But more so this than ever, hasn't it?
Possibly, I think because we haven't done as well in the league, particularly as we'd hoped, but we've certainly gone out and done fantastically well in the Champions League. We're in the FA Cup final, so I think it goes to show the pressure that's on the team as far as how well we've done compared to what people are actually saying. I don't think we've done that badly, but we're expected to be top three, get to a domestic cup final, and maybe even go further in the
At the start of the season, I fancied Chelsea to win the championship. Then Sky covered the game at Stamford Bridge when they walloped Manchester United, and you're thinking, this is their year.
Yeah.
And you can understand why they've built the hopes of all the supporters up.
Yeah.
The supporters in the media as well. And
Yeah,
maybe
that's
they've all
I agree.
felt they've been let down a wee bit.
I think when you look at the players that we have as well, and the way we can play, it's a question to everyone, probably the players themselves as well, that why can't we do that